So what I was going to ask you, Roger, is seriously,
Yeah.
As a non-Jew, the easiest charge that gets thrown at you, and it happened at my website this morning, is that you're this anti-Semite. Now, that's a terrible accusation given the history of anti-Semitism in this last century or over history.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that emotionally, and how do you deal with it intellectually? I'm curious what it's like for you to deal with that charge.
You know, I suspect that if you're an anti-Semite, you probably know it. I certainly know that I am not anti-Semitic. Never have been, never had an anti-Semitic thought. I was very lucky in the house that I grew up in. You know, I had a dead father who died fighting the Nazis at Aprilia near Anzio, in February the 18th, 1944. My mother joined the Communist Party in 1938 or something after a visit to the United States, where she found the people to be extremely friendly and open, and in the places, Akron, Ohio, she went to Akron, Ohio, and somewhere in Texas. Those were the two bits of America that she visited, and blah, 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 blah. So when I'm the same age as you, so I was that tiny kid growing up after the Second World War with this dead father who never came back, and in consequence, I went through all kinds of issues about that, and with this mother who was constantly at political meetings and blah blah blah. I'm going to tell you one small story about her, which is what kind of maybe reinforces me. We went to a British China Friendship Association meeting when I was about 6. And we had it in the Friends Meeting House, the Quaker space in Cambridge. We lived in Cambridge in East Anglia and whatever. And I remember after that, my mother saying to me why she thought this was a necessary thing to say to a 6-year-old. I've no idea, but maybe I was 8. I don't know. She said, "Do you know where we were last night, darling?" And I said, "Yeah, we were at a meeting with all those Chinese blokes in K-pop suits defeating Chiang Kai-shek in the Long March and all that." And she, "Yes, no, actually, I must have been more than 6 because the Long March wasn't until 1948. So, where was I? Yeah, she said we were in the Friends Meeting House. Now it's a space owned by a religious group, a Christian sect called the Quakers. And she said, I'm an atheist, so I can't subscribe to their religious beliefs, but I want you to always remember this: they are very, very good people." And I thought that was, it never left me, the idea of whether there are good people and people who are not so good. And as we know, there are. And it absolutely transcends nationality, race, color, creed, religion, everything. We all know good people who are devout followers of the Torah, or devout, and we all know Christian people who are devout followers of the New Testament, but who are what my mother would call very good people. And what makes them good? What makes them good is their capacity to empathize with their brothers and sisters across walls and national boundaries and religions and all these artificial barriers that are put before us when we are young. Or in my case, I was lucky enough that they were not put before me when I was young. My mother insisted that my brother and I, at the first sniff of interest, sent us off to Sunday school to learn about Christianity. Well, you can imagine how long we lasted, or how long any child would last, in a Christian Sunday school in England in the late 1940s, early 50s. Not long. But my point is that these accusations about being of I'm not saying anti-Semitism doesn't exist. Of course it does. But as the argument has been made so often, that attacking people like me or you as being anti-Semitic takes the power away, not all of it, but some of the power away from the totally legitimate idea that one has to fight against the other side of the coin, which is white supremacist arseholes who do believe that Aryans are superior to non-Aryans, and that we see marching around in Charlottesville, in South Carolina earlier this year or whenever it was. I know it was certainly after Standing Rock. And so But when Pete, so how do I deal with it? I don't take it on the chin. I do that a little bit, and it goes whoosh, and I laugh, and I kind of laugh at it because it's so absurd. They've never come up with anything that they can actually put, except that I criticize Israel, that I criticize the policies of the government of Israel. I don't even criticize Israeli people. I criticize the occupation, and I criticize their settler colonialist adventure into the Holy Land. And I criticize it from the rooftops as vociferously and with as little as respect as I can muster. And that, of course, is why I'm a target. But that's what I do. You know, maybe, no, I'm not. You know why? Because we're right and they're wrong. And my mother, if she was still alive, would tell you that. Not because she's a woman fixed in her beliefs who can't listen to the other side of the argument. There is no other side to the argument. That is the point.